We all have hopes and dreams. For a moment, stop and ask yourself, what is one of your goals? Allow yourself to dream for a moment. Let your mind roam. As the Reverend Robert Schiller asks, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? You've just done what all successful people do. You've set goals, thought about what you could do, or daydreamed. All of history's great artists and writers have come up with their best ideas while thinking. Einstein thought about riding a beam of light and shining a torch across another beam to come up with his theory of relativity. Before he built it, Tesla could make a perfect plan for a machine in his mind. All of these artists, Michelangelo, Goethe, Mozart, and Walt Disney, used daydreaming or reverie as a way to get ideas. It was a form of self-hypnosis or directed images that they were using. Why is it so important, though? Things have to happen in the made-up world first, before they can happen in the real world. Take a moment to look around you. There was a time when most of what you see was just an idea. A lot of positive thinking will help you reach your goals. You need to change the way you think in order to change your life. This creative task of making goals is something we all need to do. It's important to have goals. He wrote Man's Search for Meaning, a famous book by the famous psychologist Viktor Frankl about his time in a concentration camp during World War II. He looked into why only 1 out of every 28 people survived. It struck him that the people who made it through were not always the best, healthiest, or smartest. He thought that most of the people who lived had a reason to live, a goal. They kept going because they had goals. If your mind has a goal, it can concentrate and move in the right direction until it gets there. Your energy is lost if you don't have any goals. Some people say, you get back what you put out in life. Well, if you put out uncertainty, all you'll get back is half-baked results. Reverend Robert Schiller also says, failing to plan is a plan to fail. One way to change that is to set goals. Most people's goals are simple, like to get through the week. They don't take the time to plan the kind of life they really want. A lot of people just do what everyone else does. Not even 3% of Americans write down their goals. They don't try to make their own fate. They make mistakes in life, relying on chancy and questioning why they feel bad. Going out in a boat without a handle and having the waves throw you around is like that. It's possible to end up anywhere instead of going in the way you want to go. Most people don't stop to write down the really important things they want in life. They just spend too much time making lists for the store. Setting goals is one way to get ahead of the others. Don't forget to think about the future, because that's where you'll spend the rest of your life. We need something to work toward as people. There's a big part of every motivating speaker's message that talks about how important goals are. You may have heard some of what I'm going to say before. The most important difference is that we're going to help you put those goals into your unconscious mind, which will make them easier to reach. Motivational speakers often tell you what to do and then expect you to do it. We will, however, use the powerful techniques in the positivity system to help you figure out what you really want and then put that into your mind so you can focus on it like a laser beam. You are in charge of your life and can steer it in any way you choose. A goal gives you a reason to do something and a way to get there. Your mind needs that. You could say that the mind is like a heat-seeking rocket. Its goals are the things it wants to hit. So how are you going to reach your goals if you don't know what they are? If you can't see the object, you can't hit it. You should know this because you may run into problems along the way to your goals, just like an airplane has to fix and change direction to get where it's going. That's why it's important to keep getting feedback and making changes to stay on track. These things, your direction, your energy level, the edge of your limits, what drives you, and finally, what makes you successful, are all affected by your goals. It's even easier to say this. You always get more of what you focus on. This is a main idea of the happiness method. This could work in a good or bad way. Some people, for instance, spend all of their time thinking of ways to avoid being overweight. But that's not good because you have to think about something in order not to think about it. Do you do something different when I tell you to try not to think of elephants? They, the word, or something linked to them, make you think of them. What are those people thinking when they ask themselves, why am I so fat? How can I not be fat anymore? Fat, and making that bad idea stronger. Remember that from now on, you should always say what your goals are. For instance, what is the easiest way for me to lose weight? Someone who is sad is always aware of what they don't want, which is something I've always seen in them. They don't like either of these things. They think about what they don't want instead of what they do want for a long time. And do you know what happens to them? To be successful, you need to keep your mind focused on what you want. By doing this, you train your mind to attract more of that thing. However, goals aren't just about getting things or becoming famous. Yes, it's important to reach your goals, but what's more important is what you learn and how you grow as a person along the way. In the same way that going to college isn't just about getting a degree, it's also about making friends, trying new things, and developing new ways of thinking about the world. That is, the trip is just as important as the destination. Most of the time, what you become is more important than what you achieve. This is because when you work toward a goal, the goal grows you. Kennedy discussed the possibility of landing a man on the moon in the 1960s. This decade, he told the people of the United States, "We choose to go to the moon and do the other things, not because they're easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills." Interestingly, many scientific discoveries that had nothing to do with the space program happened because of it. During one of my classes, a man told me that his goal was to have a big house with a pool, a big car, a boat, and a family that looked happy. He looked confused when I asked, "But what about you?" His question was, "What about me?" Suddenly, he saw that he wasn't there. I asked him, "Are you going to work yourself to death to get more things for your family?" He replied, "Sure." This made him feel so much better. He put a picture of himself that was happy and healthy in his goal image. That's why it's important to be clear and set goals that will really help you. Because they focus your mind, you send your energy in a certain way. Goethe said, "The greatest thing in this world is not so much where we stand, but in what direction we are moving." Setting goals is simple, and anyone can do it. That's pretty much it. Think of something you want. Picture what it would be like to have it. Make sure it's okay for you to have it. And think about how it might happen. Then, keep your mind on that goal every day. You now have a general idea of how setting goals works. Let's go over the 10 steps to setting goals that will help you reach them. As you do this, stop at each step and give yourself time to do it right. First of all, ask yourself, what do I really want? Write down the ideas that come to mind. You can put it all together later. At first, you don't have to be specific. A rough plan will do. Do the question, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Again, if you can't get started. Some of the answers you get will surprise you. Of course, don't think about how it's going to happen just yet. Keep being creative. Think about the important things in your life, like your family, your relationships, your job, and your spiritual growth. What do you want to learn the most? What do you want to get better at? What amount of money do you want to get? What skills do you want to work on developing? What would you like to give back to the world? Do you want better health and energy, more money, and a better personality? Pick things that really get you excited. What would they do if the world ended in a week? Is something that some people do. It helps you remember what's important to you. Think about your goals in as much depth as you can while you do this. You need to picture them. by the way. Everyone can picture it. You could think of your front door as an example. What side does the handle go on? How do you know that? As a result of the image you see. Be aware of the sounds, smells, tastes, and emotions that are connected to your goals. Make the feeling of having your goals rich on the inside. Remember that your thoughts have a lot of power. For instance, thoughts come from money, not the other way around. People like Einstein and Disraeli said that imagination is more important than information, and that imagination runs the world. Now stop, finish the exercise, and then start it again when you're done. Step 2. Set priorities. Now for step 2. Next, set priorities. Figure out what your most important goals are. What are your 3 most important goals? Now is the time to look them all over and pick out the most important of your 3 goals. Make a list right away and don't do anything else until you get to step 3 of this. Third step, values. I want you to picture yourself having reached one of your goals and ask yourself, what will having this goal give me? This is what you need to do to get to the heart of what really drives you and find the values that support your goals. When one of our beliefs is broken, it shows us what those values are. Say someone isn't loyal to you. That's because you value loyalty, which is why you were upset. What you value tells you what's important to you. I remember that at one of my workshops, a man said that making money was his main goal. So I asked him, what would that give you? He thought about it and imagined having a lot of money. It'll make me feel safe, and people will respect me, he said. To him, safety and respect were very important. They were his values. You already know that it's easy to make people feel good, like security and respect in this case. He used some of the techniques for happiness to feel safer and more confident in himself, and the money started coming in very quickly. So, when you ask yourself, what's important about a particular goal? What will reaching your goal do for you? Specific words or phrases will come to mind, such as safety, accomplishment, making a difference in life, or something else that is unique to you. Because any goal you have is really just a way of achieving your values, the words you choose will represent your values and what's most important to you in life. Because they want to make the world a better place, some people want to help other people. Because they respect human achievement, another person may have a dream of getting an Olympic medal. Let's find out what you value right now. Imagine that you have reached one of your goals. See what you'll see, hear what you'll hear, and feel good. Now ask yourself, what will this goal give you? What's important to you about this goal? Write down any words or phrases that come to mind. Do this over and over until you have a list of lines and words that show what you stand for. This is your most important value. Ask yourself, what's important to you about all of these values? At the heart of what drives you in life. Now you should have a clear picture of your most important goals, like getting a new house, a raise, money, or something else. Write down what you'll get when you reach those goals. Your ideals are self-confidence, safety, higher self-esteem, and a sense of accomplishment. Now let's move on to step 4. Step 4, meaning of life. Your life's goal. The author of Peak Performers' New Heroes in American Business, Dr. Charles Garfield, found that peak performers are dedicated to this very goal. There was one thing that all the great winners in history had in common. They knew exactly what they were trying to do. It's good to have goals and understand your values, but how do they fit into the bigger picture of your life? A lot of motivational speakers talk about goals, but they don't talk about how important principles and meaning are. For instance, a lot of people only want money and see it as an end in itself, thinking that once they have enough, they can do what they really want. A lot of the people I've worked with are nearing the end of their lives. Some of them told me, I wish I'd laughed more, loved more, and spent less time worrying. No one said, "I wish I had another Mercedes." Instead, they said things like, "I wish I'd laughed more, loved more, and spent less time worrying." As the saying goes, the best things in life are not things. Money and fame can be gifts, but getting them alone won't always make us happy. You are the only one who knows what you really want. Asking yourself these questions will help you gain a better understanding of your life's purpose. Steven Spielberg decided that telling stories was what he wanted to do with his life. He does this with pictures. Martin Luther King worked as a pastor. His goal in life was to be an example for millions of people to follow. Your life's goal doesn't have to be to change the world. Just being a good person is a good goal. Fifth step, how will you know? How are you going to know when you've reached your goal? A lot of people don't know because they don't have a regular way to check if they're on track or not. The answer is easy. Be clear and have a way to check that what you say is true. You need knowledge that comes from your senses. When you reach your goal, what will you see? What are you going to hear? How are you going to feel? What will you taste and smell? This will give you a way of knowing whether you're getting closer to your goals or farther away from them. Some people put off getting validated until too late. They only see the end goal, like a big house or car, or they wait to be happy until they get these things. You need to see signs of progress along the way. These could be smaller goals on the way to getting very rich. Other times, smaller but still important amounts of money can show you that you're on the right track. Think of the smallest steps toward your larger goals. Step 6. Make sure it's right. Appropriateness. Check. When you think about the future, make sure that your goals are really for your own good and won't hurt other people. As we work toward our goals, we might miss some important details. If your health suffers because of your business success, what's the point? Also, make sure that you can reach your goals and that they don't rely on other people changing to make you happy. That's why your goal should be something you can actually do. Plus, make sure these are your goals. Some people pick a job to please their parents instead of themselves. Do it now. Step 7. Be sure you're on the right track. It's easier to know you're on the right track when you have a list of things that need to happen in a certain order to reach your goal. So, figure out how long it will take you to reach one of your goals, whether it's a month, 6 months, a year, or longer. Then, start with your end goal, the big house, the car, or something else, and work backwards to find the big steps you need to take to get there. Then, if you want, write down those steps. Really live those steps. As you reach each goal, picture what you'll see, hear, and feel. You need to consider both the end result and the steps that got you there in order to get a clear, big, bright image of each step. Next, we'll conduct an experiment to determine how you manage your time in your mind. The father of NLP, Dr. Richard Bandler, came up with a great method called timelines. How it works. Think of something you do every day, like putting on clothes or cleaning your teeth. Notice that an image comes to mind as you consider doing it tomorrow. Where in your mind does that image originate? Where is it? Is it in front of you, to the left, or to the right? Plan to do that exercise again in a week and pay attention to where you make the picture then. To your left or to your right, is the image in front of you? Compared to the other image, is it further away? Where is it located? Next, picture yourself doing that action in 6 months and look at the spot where it is again. Is it in front of you, to the left, or to the right? Is it farther away? Where is it located? You can see how time moves in a certain way for you as you look at the locations of the pictures. If you look ahead, does it stretch out in front of you, or does it go from left to right like a movie reel? Does it go in a certain direction? Where is the past? Is it behind you or somewhere else? Take a moment to think about which way time moves in your mind. Some people don't know where they're going. They just see everything in front of them. You can see where you are in the present and how it goes to the future by looking at the direction of time with the task you chose just now. This is what we call your history. Step 8. Problems. Take a moment to ask yourself, what's going to stop me from reaching my goal? Write down the problems because it will be easier to get past them if you know about them ahead of time. Will you be sure of yourself enough to reach your goals even if you don't have the right tools, room, time, or money? Do you start things but never finish them? Are some people not going to believe you? Just what kind of problems? Write them down. Looking into the future and predicting problems gives you the advantage of knowing what went wrong before you do something. Next, ask yourself, what do I need to do to get past these problems? What kind of person do I need to become? What will I need to work on? It's very important to deal with these issues as soon as possible. Then you'll have more faith in your ability to win. After that, think of times when you showed those good traits or ones like them in the past. Or think about what your life would be like if you had those traits. In the case of confidence, for example, picture what it would be like to be completely sure of yourself and full of hope. Then think about how you would go about achieving one of your goals. Take notice of how your mood changes and how that changes how you act. Step 9. Make a list of all the tools you have, as if you were going on vacation. You should bring everything you need to have a great time. Make a list of everything, like what you know, where you live, your friends, your health, your money, your schooling, your skills, your financial situation, and your character traits. A telephone can let people all over the world talk to each other, and transportation or easy access to it can make it possible to go almost anywhere. What tools do you have or could you get? Do not continue with the rest of this until you have made a list. Step 10. Make your ideal day. Now that you have all of your goals, make your ideal day. How does it begin? Think about the types of people you hang out with, the places you visit, the things you own, and how good you feel. Go into great depth about it. You are creating when you do this, so do it right. Make it feel great when you do it. Have a great day. What kinds of things show you how powerful you are? Like Tesla, plan your perfect day down to the last detail. Make it clear to your unconscious mind what you want. Remember that everything that happens in your life starts as a thought in your mind. Good job. You've just made a big step forward by choosing your own fate. I asked myself many years ago, where will I be in 5 years if I keep going in the same direction? I was shocked to find that I wouldn't be happier mentally, personally, or financially. I'd be a little older, a little more scared, and living day to day. For that reason, I did what you did and asked questions. The effects were truly amazing. The next thing I knew, I felt better. Then, just as we will do later in this radio program, I practiced in my imagination, having what I wanted. I had a lot more energy all of a sudden, and my earnings got a lot better. In more than 42 countries, people knew who I was. Rock stars, movie stars, and even kings wanted to work with me. Then I started to attract the kinds of people I'd always wanted to. I'm amazed at how much money there is in the world every time I walk down the street. There wasn't anything there before, but look at how much there is now. That brings us to the next golden rule of success. All great players practice mentally. In other words, they keep picturing the game, race, or event going exactly how they want it to in their imaginations. The way it works is simple. Your nervous system can't tell the difference between a real event and a detailed imagination. That's the reason why easy things like thinking positively don't work. Being positive and telling yourself every day I get better and better, might not help. If you tell your heart, beat faster, it won't. If you thought about going down a dark alley at night and hearing footsteps behind you, your heart rate would go up. Goals follow the same rule. You need to train your nervous system to expect them in order to make sure you reach them. Immerse yourself in the experience of reaching and living your goals at least twice a day. When I work with a client who is afraid of public speaking, for example, I have them practice speaking to a group of people with confidence and success in their imagination repeatedly. These people have done a lot of good things in the past, so when they do it for real, they will feel good about it. In life, you always get more of what you focus on. Do what you need to do every day to reach your goals. This part of your mind wants nothing more than to see you happy, but you have to tell it every day what you want. Man turns into what he thinks about most of the time, said Ralph Waldo Emerson. You should think about these goals all the time, morning, noon, and night. Do everything you can to reach your goals. As you do that over and over, that new cybernetic plan will be stored in your mind. It will lead you to a life of happiness, wealth, and satisfaction. As you drift off to sleep at night, keep your mind on what you want. Put your goals in a scrapbook or have a picture or other sign of them with you so you can think about them every day. Do everything you can to reach your goals. Finally, do something. Everyone would be driving Mercedes, living in mansions, wearing expensive jewelry, and having beautiful lovers if all you had to do was think about what you wanted, and it suddenly appeared a few seconds later.